We are live on YouTube, live on TikTok. It is Thursday night. We are a couple hours away from some Thursday night football. How we doing, everyone? Week 10 about to kick off. And we start off the stream talking about some breaking news, which we've been really waiting for quite some time. Odell Beckham Jr. signing with the Los Angeles Rams. And I'm sure we're going to have all sorts of questions. How is this going to impact the different players on the Los Angeles Rams? First of all, I don't think this affects Cooper Kupp or Darrell Henderson all that much. I think Cooper Kupp is going to continue to be a top 5 fantasy football wide receiver, but it definitely affects Robert Woods, and I would argue it affects Tyler Higbee just a little bit as well. But to me, this is the biggest ding to Robert Woods, and it is also a pretty big boost for Matthew Stafford. And man, the Rams are just stacked. Guys, we are live on YouTube. We are live on TikTok. We got a Thursday night battle between the Baltimore Ravens and the Miami Dolphins tonight. Lots to talk about there. Going to answer as many of the comments in the chat as I can. I'm seeing a Chris Carson for Chase Claypool question. Claypool is injured. I don't think Claypool is a pretty good buy right now. He could be out for longer than this week. It might be a multiple week injury for Chase Claypool. But yeah, I would agree with this. It doesn't impact Henderson in a negative way. If anything, the offense gets better. That could be more touchdowns for Darrell Henderson, but it does impact Tyler Higbee just a little bit. Keenan Allen and Saquon for Dalvin Cook. No, I would not do that. I would not be doing that. So when Saquon gets back, Saquon is a top 10 fantasy football running back. Hey, Sam, do you still think James Robinson will be legit when he comes back? Love the channel. Yeah, I definitely think he will. I think he will. And by the way, if you're tuned into the YouTube live, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I have a free prop pick for us tonight. We nailed Nick Chubb over 82.5 rushing yards. We're getting back on track with the free props, and there's one I do like tonight that I want to share with you. We'll do that when we get to 100 likes on the YouTube live. Link is in the TikTok bio to the YouTube live, where you can see my top 10 quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, favorite plays of the night, and my picks against the spread for this week, all on the YouTube live, completely free. Link is in the TikTok bio. Let me pull this up. Let me pull up, first of all, my top 10 quarterbacks, because you'll notice in my top 10 quarterbacks this week, this is back-to-back weeks now, we have someone that I ranked number 1 overall at their position playing on Thursday night. Last week, it was Jonathan Taylor, who came through being the number 1 overall running back for us. We actually smashed Thursday night last week, guys. Thursday night, we hit Jonathan Taylor's player props. We hit the Colts minus 10.5, and Jonathan Taylor finishes the number 1 overall running back. And our sleepiest, deepiest play, Nyheim Hines, also put in a solid performance. But tonight, guys, it's a big Lamar Jackson night. It's a big Lamar Jackson night. Lamar Jackson is my number 1 overall quarterback heading into week 10. Lamar Jackson has been absolutely unstoppable. And to me, he has to be in the MVP conversation. But regardless of the MVP conversation, Lamar Jackson is going to ball out tonight. It's really an ideal matchup for Lamar. The Dolphins have been a bottom 10 rushing defense all season. His over-under tonight for rushing yards, 62.5. I like the over. Walter has him projected for 65 rushing yards tonight. But Lamar Jackson's just been on fire, guys. He's gone over 250 passing yards back-to-back games. People are overlooking the fact that Lamar Jackson has improved significantly as a passer this season, and he's been much, much more aggressive downfield. He's throwing it the second deepest downfield per attempt than any other quarterback in the NFL. He's basically the second most aggressive QB in the league in terms of throwing it deep. He's averaging the second most fantasy points per game. Obviously, he's been killing it on with his legs. He is the best rushing quarterback of all time. And it's going to be on full display tonight. So I'm excited to watch that. But yeah, let's get to this question in the YouTube live. Lots to talk about tonight. We got plenty of time, though, so I'm going to try to answer as many comments as I can. The comment in the YouTube live, I'm seeing Hollywood and James Robinson for Tyler Lockett and Leonard Fournette. Yeah, I do like buying Fournette right now. I think Lockett and Hollywood are comparable. I would prefer Hollywood. Hollywood's been so consistent this season. Hollywood Brown has been consistent. He is not a boom-bust guy. He's gotten over 10 points in every game except for 2. He's gotten over 15 points, actually, in every single game except for 2. He's probably going to go over 15 points again tonight, even with Sammy Watkins potentially returning. But I do like the trade because I like Fournette a lot. And Fournette's not injured right now. James Robinson is. What players could I realistically get for Odell? Depends on your league. But a guy that I'd like to buy low right now, to me, one of the best buy low candidates in fantasy football is none other than Jacoby Myers. I think Jacoby Myers is going to be a top 24 wide receiver the rest of the season. He has been an every down number one receiver for the Patriots, and they have been very run heavy. But you look at their schedule back half of the season, and I don't think they're going to be able to run quite as much as they have been. So I would see if you have Odell, go see if you can get Jacoby Myers plus something else. Because for most leagues, Jacoby Myers is just sitting on someone's bench at this point. Guys, we're live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube. You come to the YouTube live. You can see my top 10 quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, and my favorite picks against the spread. We actually have a lock tonight, too. I'm 65% accurate on my locks against the spread tonight, and I'm taking the Ravens tonight. 7.5 point spread, 8.5 point spread. I don't really care. 7.5, 8.5. The Ravens could destroy the Dolphins in this game. It might not be close. It might not be close. This game is not a good matchup for the Dolphins. They are not a good rushing defense against the best rushing offense in the NFL. Thoughts on Bateman and Freeman? Yeah, I have Bateman and Freeman as kind of fringe starts tonight. I don't think either of them is a must start. I lean Devonta Freeman over Rashad Bateman. Both of them have potential, though. And in a lot of situations, I'm going to be recommending people to start Rashad Bateman and Devonta Freeman. I like Rashad Bateman a lot. We haven't gotten confirmation yet if Sammy Watkins is playing or not, but Rashad Bateman is probably going to have a role regardless. He's played over 60% of the snaps in every game this season. He's had back-to-back games over 10 points. He's had back-to-back games over 50 yards. And he's had at least 6 targets, actually exactly 6 targets. No, at least 6 targets in every single game. He had 8 targets last game. But Devonta Freeman's the number one running back for the Ravens against a bad rushing defense. Devonta Freeman versus Antonio Gibson. Yeah, I would not knock you for going Devonta Freeman over Antonio Gibson. Guys, really quickly, some must-start players tonight. I think Devonta Freeman is fringe must-start. By the way, we're live on TikTok and YouTube. You can see my top 10 rankings, every position. Link is in the bio to the YouTube live. But there's a lot of must-start players tonight. A lot of must-start players. Myles Gaskin is one of those must-start players. I think you kind of have to start Myles Gaskin. Myles Gaskin had 20 carries last week, 6 targets, 26 touches of the football for Myles Gaskin last week. I mean, that is top 10 in the NFL, easily. So based on volume alone, you kind of have to play Myles Gaskin, and then you look deeper into the Ravens defense, and the Ravens defense really has underperformed this season, and they've allowed a lot of receiving yards to running backs. I think they're allowing the 8th most points to running backs this season. So yeah, you kind of have to start Myles Gaskin. Obviously, you're starting Lamar Jackson. I think you have to start Mark Andrews and Mike Gesicki tonight too. I have them both ranked. Let me pull up my tight end rankings on the YouTube live. I have them both ranked inside my top 6 tight ends. Mark Andrews at number 5, Mike Gesicki's at number 6. I think you got to start Jalen Waddle too. I think that's the last must-start player. I didn't mention Marquise Brown too. You got to start Marquise Brown. Waddle or Bateman? Yeah, you kind of have to go Waddle over Bateman. You kind of have to. Waddle's almost definitely going to see more targets than Bateman. Should I start Freeman? Yeah, you should start Freeman in most situations. He's not on my must-start list, but you probably should start. You probably should start. He saw 13 carries last week. He's probably going to lead the Ravens in carries tonight. Hey, Sam. How's it going, Greg? Just traded Jefferson and Godwin for Hopkins and Chase 7-2 with playoff schedule in mind. Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. They have a good playoff schedule. I usually don't like trading the same position for the same position. It doesn't make that much sense to me. But in this situation, if you are already in the playoffs and that team is not, I think that makes a little bit of sense. Especially with Godwin likely to miss some games. Hey, Sam, should I start Bateman or Judy? I already have Andrews. Yeah, I'm fine starting Bateman over Judy. But Judy is also probably going to see more targets than Bateman. Bateman had 8 targets last game, 6 targets the 2 games before that. Again, we're waiting on the Sammy Watkins news. But Jerry Jeudy has seen a ton of targets in terms of the number of routes that he's run. The Denver Broncos are up against the Eagles, who have been really bad against quarterbacks. They're allowing, I think it was like 75% completion percentage or something ridiculous like that to quarterbacks. I think I'd probably go Jerry Jeudy. Opinion on Saquon moving forward. Yeah, Charlie, I am a little bit nervous about Saquon not getting his full workload because Devontae Booker's been good. Like, why would they give Saquon 20-plus touches a game when they can give Devontae Booker some of those carries? That's assuming logical coaching, though, which always is a risk to do in fantasy. But I think regardless, Saquon Barkley is going to be a running back 1 when he returns. I think he's that good. He's that athletic, and he's that talented once the ball's in his hand that he can be a running back 1 with 15 touches per game. How do we feel about DJ Moore now rest of the season? Yeah, Cam Newton signing with the Carolina Panthers. I think this is good news for DJ Moore. I do. I think this is good news for DJ Moore. Because could DJ Moore get much worse than he's been the last month? He really can't. He hasn't had over 10 points, I don't think, in the last month. So I think it's good news for DJ Moore. I would be selling if you can, but most situations you can't. So at this point, you're holding on to DJ Moore. You don't want to sell low on the talented DJ Moore. But if he has a big game, I think I'll strongly consider selling if it's before the trade deadline. Yeah, he hasn't had over 13.5 points since week 4 against Dallas. He's gone under 10 points these last 2 weeks. And really, it's just the Panthers offense struggling. Could we see them wide receiver rankings? Yeah, in the YouTube Live. Link is in the TikTok bio to come to the YouTube Live. You can see my top 10 rankings, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, all in the YouTube Live, just scrolling at the bottom of the screen. TikTok does not have that feature. I have been petitioning, by the way, to let TikTok let me stream from my computer. And it's just not happening. So come to the YouTube Live. Link is in the TikTok bio. And you can see my top 10 rankings for wide receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends for this week. Waddle or Godwin? Godwin might not play. It actually looks like Godwin's trending in the wrong direction. He hasn't practiced this week. So I think you got to go Waddle. You got to assume the worst with situations like this on Thursday night. Moore or Freeman? Which Moore? There's so many Moores. I don't like when people just say Moore. There's Rondell Moore. There's DJ Moore. The very big difference between those two guys. I think there's more Moores that I'm missing too. But I do like Devonta Freeman. I do like Devonta Freeman tonight. Bateman. Yeah, I do like Bateman tonight. I think that both those guys are fringe starts, though. I don't think they're must starts. Like, it depends. There's two sides to every start-sit decision. So it helps to give the context of who you're going to start these guys over. Sutton or Bateman? Yeah, I think I would probably lean Bateman over Sutton. I'm pretty down on Courtland Sutton right now. Guys, we're live on TikTok and YouTube. What is OBJ's fantasy outlook? Yeah, really quickly, let's just touch on the OBJ thing again one more time. Because Odell Beckham Jr. signing with the Rams, obviously the biggest news of the day. And it does hurt. It does hurt Robert Woods' value the most of anyone. It is a bump up for Matthew Stafford, 100%. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr., Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee, all those guys together as receivers is just very tough to stop. So it's good news for Matthew Stafford. I don't think it changes Cooper Kupp very much. I don't think it's great for Odell Beckham Jr. Like, it's very hard for me to see a path for OBJ to be getting more than 6 targets a game. Like, it's probably going to be 5 targets a game, 5 to 6 targets a game for OBJ. That's what I would project him for, which is going to be pretty volatile for fantasy football. It's going to be tough to trust OBJ because there's no way he out-targets Cooper Kupp, and there's going to be games where Robert Woods gets more targets than him too. So I don't think it's a great landing spot for him in terms of fantasy football. I think it helps Matthew Stafford, though, and it hurts Robert Woods, and it does hurt, I think, slightly Tyler Higbee. But back to the Thursday night game. We got a Thursday night football question here, and I want to try to get to as many of the Thursday night questions as we can because I'll be live pretty much all morning, Sunday morning, answering a lot of these other questions not related to Thursday night. But you got to make some decisions tonight. All right, so here we got one. I need 3 between the 4. Waddle, Mike Williams, McLaurin, and DJ Moore. And how do you feel about DJ Moore with Cam Newton? Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about DJ Moore with Cam Newton. There's already a rapport there, so that's probably good news for DJ Moore. Even though Cam Newton's going to run a lot, I still think it's good news for DJ Moore. It might be bad news for Christian McCaffrey, but they did really well together too. I think DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey are, at worst, staying the same from this news. But yeah, I would be playing Mike Williams, Terry McLaurin, and DJ Moore all over Jalen Waddle. I think Jalen Waddle's in a good spot tonight. Devontae Parker is out, but all those other guys have a higher ceiling than Jalen Waddle. Opinion on Alvin Kamara options for trades. Yeah, I posted a video this week. Got a ton of hate comments about about posting a video that I think you should trade Alvin Kamara. I think you should because his value's high. And I actually posted this before the injury. His value's taken a ding a little bit since I posted that video because he missed practice. He might not play this week. I actually just read a tweet saying he's doubtful this week. I think he's on the wrong side of questionable right now, Alvin Kamara, for the game this weekend. But the Saints are really, really tough with the injuries. Like, they don't let anything slip. So it's hard to know if he's going to play this week. But Alvin Kamara, like, I'm just down on the Saints in general. It has nothing to do with Kamara. I still think Alvin Kamara. Is it Kamara or Kamara? I'm bad with the names. But I think regardless, Alvin Kamara is just in a bad situation. Trevor Siemian and Taysom Hill are the worst quarterback situation in the league. So the Saints are not in a good spot, even though Kamara is going to see a ton of volume. So a threat at the goal line now too. So yeah, I think it's a good time to trade Alvin Kamara. Trade Gaskin for Cooks. I'm assuming that's Brandon Cooks. W, PPR. Yeah, it is a W, especially if you don't need the running back. AP, Jarvis Landry, or Devonta Freeman. Definitely not Adrian Peterson. I don't know how you could possibly trust Adrian Peterson. Like, do not be starting Adrian Peterson in fantasy. Deontay Foreman looked better than him. And then we like, it's really just a bad situation all around in the Titans backfield. Not a good fantasy football situation. We have McNichols playing a role. We have Deontay Foreman playing a role and Adrian Peterson. Like, good luck guessing which one's going to score the touchdown. So I think this one's between Jarvis Landry and Devonta Freeman, and I think you kind of have to go Jarvis Landry. If this is a PPR league, you almost have to go Jarvis Landry over Devonta Freeman. Freeman, to me, has a pretty safe floor, but so does Jarvis Landry now. Guys, we're live on TikTok and YouTube. Come to the YouTube live. You can see my top 10 rankings, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and my picks against the spread. I'm taking, by the way, as a lock tonight, Ravens minus 7.5. I think the Ravens could absolutely destroy the Dolphins in this game. I would be pretty surprised to see the Ravens lose this game. Let me pull up my top 10 running backs this week. And yet again, we have Najee Harris cracking the number one spot. Last week, it was Jonathan Taylor who finished as the number one overall running back. This week, Najee Harris playing up against the Detroit Lions. And I actually think the Lions have a chance to beat the Steelers. The Steelers coming off a short week this week. They played on Monday night. The Lions are coming off a bye week. This is the week, Lions. Like, this is the week you gotta squeak one out. I still have Najee Harris ranked number one, though. The massive favorites against a bad run defense. I think Dalvin Cook could have an absolute monster day, too. The Chargers' run defense is just so bad. I'd argue it's the worst in the NFL. You adjust for strength of opponent, and they have been the worst in the NFL. At me, and I'll answer your start or sit, says someone in the TikTok chat. Scary Terry outlook. Yeah, I like Terry McLaurin this week against the Buccaneers. It should be a pretty pass-heavy game. All right, we got a Thursday night football question here. Should I start Freeman or Renfro PPR? Guys, Hunter Renfro's just been a beast. I mean, Deshaun Jackson's going to be there for the Raiders now. I don't think that changes much for Renfro. Renfro's been so consistent. He's been so consistent. I think I would go with Renfro. I like Devonta Freeman tonight. I do. But Renfro's been too good to not be in your starting lineup over a guy like Devonta Freeman. Because, I mean, there's a good chance Devonta Freeman has a good game, but he has 0 catches and he has 0 touchdowns, in which case he's going under 10 fantasy points. Thoughts on Singletary this week? Hope you're having a good day. Thanks, man. I always appreciate the positivity in the comments. Seriously, the positivity keeps me going. There's a lot of negativity on social media. I spend a lot of time on social media these days. There's a lot of negativity on social media, so I appreciate the positivity. But yeah, thoughts on Devin Singletary. I think Zach Moss has been a pretty big letdown since the beginning of the season. Devin Singletary has surprisingly kind of taken advantage of Zach Moss's disappointment. He played 70% of the snaps last week against the Jaguars. 70% of the snaps. By far his highest snap rate since week 1. So yeah, I like Devin Singletary. I think he's a pretty big sleeper. The bigger question is, what is going on with the Bills offense? I was more surprised that the Bills scored less than 7 points than I was that they lost. I think the fact that they scored so few points is just absolutely mind-boggling. Waddle, Ayuk, or Pitts in the flex. Waddle versus Ayuk is really close. I think I would lean towards Jalen Waddle over Brandon Ayuk of the Bazooka, even though I'm on the Ayuk hype train. I'm on the train. I'm on the Ayuk train. But I still think Waddle's probably safer play with no Devontae Parker. I do like Kyle Pitts, though, a lot. I just don't like playing tight ends over receivers. It's something in my body doesn't feel good about playing tight ends over receivers. Thursday night question, Bateman or Ayuk this week, and Dearness Johnson or Peterson. Yeah, I mean, Dearness Johnson, guys, he's a top 10 running back this week. Dearness Johnson's he could be top 5. So yeah, you gotta be playing Dearness Johnson over most people and definitely over Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson's not a very good play this week. And then Rashad Bateman or Ayuk. Personally, I think I'd go Ayuk. I think I'd go Ayuk with the Bazooka over Rashad Bateman. All right, just download the app. Tyler, thanks so much. Yeah, guys, if you haven't tried out the WalterPicks app yet, in the iOS App Store, the link is in the YouTube description. The link is in the TikTok bio. You're like 3 presses of your fingers or your mouse away from the WalterPicks app, which leverages machine learning and AI to help you answer your start state questions, help you answer your trade questions, to help you dominate DraftKings and FanDuel, dominate your player props. And every premium feature in the app comes with a completely free 7-day trial. So try it out. I do appreciate it. It's the number one way you could possibly support me is by trying out the app. Tyler, thanks so much. And by the way, if you're on the YouTube Live, guys, another second best way you could possibly support me, hit the like button. When we get to 100 likes on the YouTube Live, I got a free prop pick for us tonight. But let's look at this question, though. Should I trade Josh Allen for Herbert and Terry? Yes, you should. You should. Anytime you can trade a quarterback for a pretty comparable quarterback plus something else, I think you should do it. I like Josh Allen more than Justin Herbert, but you add in Terry McLaurin, I think that's a great trade. I would be playing Joe in the YouTube live is asking, Gaskin, Peterson, or Howard? It's got to be Gaskin, man. Myles Gaskin saw 26 touches last week. He didn't do very much with it. He really didn't do – he had, I think, like under 60 rushing yards. It was actually a pretty abysmal efficiency day from Myles Gaskin last week. But the touches were there. He had his highest snap share of the season. He saw the ball 26 times. And there's a game this season with Jacoby Brissett, who's going to be starting for the Dolphins tonight, where Myles Gaskin saw 10 catches. He had 10 catches. And the fact that that's in his range of outcomes is pretty exciting. So I think you got to go Myles Gaskin in a game where I think the Dolphins are probably going to get destroyed too. Meanwhile, the Ravens haven't been very good stopping the running backs through the air. So yeah, for a lot of different reasons, I think you got to go Myles Gaskin here. Should I give Terry and Kareem for CD and Melvin for CD playoff schedule? Yeah, I like this. I do. You're getting the best player. The best player in this trade is CD Lamb. CD Lamb is a really good buy low candidate right now too. I think CD Lamb and Amari Cooper are going to win leagues this season. If it's not both, it's going to be one. Thursday Night Football, Ayuk or Bateman. Yeah, I'm going Ayuk, the bazooka, over Rashad Bateman this week. Marquise Brown or Terry McLaurin. I'd go Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown has had at least 15 points, at least 15 fantasy points in all but 2 games this season. It's over 75% of his games. He's going over 15 fantasy points. That's the exact type of consistency that should give you confidence in Marquise Hollywood Brown tonight. Guys, we're live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube. And on YouTube right now, you can see my favorite picks against the spread this week. You can see my top 10 rankings, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. Link is in the TikTok bio to go to the YouTube live. And one of my favorite spread this week is tonight. It's the Ravens. -7.5 against the Dolphins. I think the Ravens are going to destroy the Dolphins. Hey, Sam, been here since the start. Noah, man, how's it going? Start Mike Williams, Terry McLaurin, or James Robinson. I like Mike Williams this week. Chargers they're really in an interesting game this week against the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings secondary has been about average this season. I think Mike Williams is due for a breakout game. I like Terry McLaurin too in what I expect to be a shootout against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I have just not very much faith in Taylor Heineke. And if James Robinson plays, I think you kind of have to go James Robinson. But if James Robinson doesn't play, I'd go Mike Williams. Thoughts on the Dalvin Cook situation? Yeah, Richard. It seems like, from a fantasy football perspective, it feels like and seems like everything I've read, Dalvin Cook's going to play the rest of the season. Other than that, I think there's a lot of different ways this could go with Dalvin Cook. I'm pretty nervous about his future in the NFL, but I don't know all of the details of the situation enough, and really things aren't for far enough along to know. But there's definitely some uncertainty there. That's my thoughts. But I think he'll play the rest of the season. Hey, Sam, with no Tua tonight, was wondering if I go Bateman or Waddle in my flex this week. Yeah, Bateman versus Waddle is super close. I would personally lean towards Waddle, though. Waddle's locked into more targets than Bateman. Waddle's going to see minimum 7 targets tonight. Thursday Night Football, Jalen Waddle versus Josh Jacobs. Yeah, I think I'd go Waddle there too. Brian Wright, thanks for the gifts in the TikTok live. I do appreciate it. I will try to always get to your questions in the TikTok live. If you do toss some gifts, I do appreciate that. Rashad Bateman or Javonte Williams, half PPR. Yeah, man. Free Javonte Williams, man. Javonte Williams has been so efficient this season. Part of me wants Javonte Williams to not break out at any point this season and Melvin Gordon stay involved. And then we all can draft Javonte Williams and win our fantasy leagues next season at a way reduced cost. Because Javonte Williams is so good. He is very, very talented. He's been one of the most efficient running backs in the NFL this season. But Melvin Gordon's stealing touchdowns and he's getting over half the work. So I think you kind of have to go with Bateman. I think I would go with Bateman. The Broncos are also without 3 of their 5 starting offensive linemen this week. Start 2, Pitts. I love these glasses. This is my favorite gift I think I've seen. Start 2, Pitts, Gesicki, Beasley. Mike Gesicki, Beasley, Kyle Pitts. I mean, you got to start Kyle Pitts. And you probably should start Beasley over Gesicki. I like Gesicki tonight. I mean, Kyle Pitts is, I think, my number 2 or 3 tight end this week. Let me pull up my tight end rankings. He's my number 4 tight end. By the way, everyone I told us to bench George Kittle last week, I'm sorry. I'm very transparent with when I miss. That was a huge miss. Swing, massive miss. I think the process was there. Cardinals have been really good against tight ends this season, and he's been out with an injury for a really long time. But that was a huge miss with George Kittle last week. Like, you got to play George Kittle over Gesicki. Yeah, I have George Kittle ranked ahead of Gesicki. If you come to the YouTube live again, link is in the TikTok bio. I got my top 10 tight end rankings at the bottom of the screen right now. I think Gesicki versus Beasley is really close, though. Personally, though, I can't stomach playing a tight end over a receiver. Like, it just doesn't sit well with me. So I would be going Beasley. Like, tight ends are just they have such a low floor. Don't start two of them. Bateman, Callaway, or Ayuka, the bazooka. We got a disco ball in the TikTok live. I think that I would lean towards Ayuk over Bateman, and I want nothing to do with Callaway. I really don't want much to do with anyone in the Saints offense. The Saints offense seems like such a roll of the dice to me. Can you go over trade targets for Alvin Kamara? Yeah, there's so many. I actually posted a video. Owen, go to the TikTok account at WalterPicks. I posted a video with like 4 different examples of trades you could do for Alvin Kamara. I think you want to go get a top 12 running back, though. If you're giving up Kamara, you want a top 12 running back and something else. I think that's what you should be able to sell. Hey, Sam, Thursday Night Football, start 2. We got Rashad Bateman, Devonta Freeman, Jacoby Myers, Corey Davis, half PPR. Yeah, it's tough for me to trust Corey Davis, though. I'm excited about Mike White. I'm actually excited about Mike White, but Corey Davis, I think, is pretty risky. I think I'd probably go with Rashad Bateman and Jacoby Myers here. But if you want to play it safe, you probably just go Rashad Bateman and Devonta Freeman. The Ravens are going to put up a lot of points tonight. I think that's the safest route. I think the highest upside route, though, is Rashad Bateman and Jacoby Myers. For Muth, Noah Fant, it's Fant, or Knox. Yeah, I think you got to go with Muth. I think you got to go with Muth. Muth is the only one that's a top 10 tight end for me this week. Gaskin, Singletary, or Howard. Definitely Myles Gaskin over Jordan Howard. I don't think that one's particularly close. I think Singletary's a little bit closer. I'd probably still go Gaskin. Again, Myles Gaskin, guys, he had 26 touches last week. Like, obviously, it's not a lock. He's going to get that many again today. But, I mean, just the fact that that's within his range of outcomes is enough reason to start him. If Kamara and Moss are out this week, should I get Ingram or Singletary? I think Ingram. I think Ingram's going to see so much of the ball if Kamara is out. Like, Ingram could see 20 touches this week if Kamara's out. Landry or Bateman? Yeah, I think Landry's safer than Bateman. I think Landry's safer. I would go Landry. Hey, Sam, thanks for liking my TikTok comment today. No problem, Kylo. Pick 2. Callaway, Sutton, Cobb, or Marvin Jones. Man, RIP, just the Jaguars receivers. Marvin Jones should be doing so much better than he is. Sutton's all 4 of these guys are just such dart throws. I think you kind of just should trot out Sutton and Marvin Jones. Like, those are the best guys in this situation, but I don't feel good about either of them. But I think that's who you should go. We have a trade deadline tomorrow in the comments here. My starters, after all. What trades do I do, or who do I target? Oh man, this is way too big of a question to address on this live stream. But I do think there's a lot of good guys to be targeting in trades. I think one of my favorite guys to go get right now is David Montgomery and James Robinson. Hey Sam, the man, back at it again with this great question. What is your sleepiest, deepest, darkest FanDuel plays tonight? We've been on the money with these ever since you started asking this question. We nailed Nyheim Hines last week. I forget who we said. I think it was Donovan Peoples-Jones on the Sunday Live, and he had 80 yards, a touchdown last week. And I have this one prepared. I'm ready for this question now. And Thursday night, there's two guys that I think are very sleepy DB plays. Durham Smythe and Adam Shaheen. So Devontae Parker's out. Devontae Parker's out for the Miami Dolphins. And the Miami Dolphins run a lot of tight ends in their system. I think one of these tight ends is going to end up scoring a touchdown tonight. And then you look at the defensive side of the ball for the Ravens. And the Ravens have been pretty bad against tight ends this season. I like Gesicki for these reasons tonight too. But the Ravens have allowed the second most points per game to tight ends this season. So I think Smythe or Shaheen are going to score tonight. So I like them as a super, super, super deep play, and they're pretty much minimum priced on FanDuel and DraftKings. What do I do with Hill and Jones? You got to hold both those guys. Should I start Gaskin? Yes, start Gaskin. I like Gaskin more than Waddle. Tonight. Hey, Sam, I traded Kamara, Brandon Cook, Zach Moss for Debo, James Conner, and Damon Harris. Thoughts? You got the best player. Actually, you lost the best player, which is Alvin Kamara. You got Debo Samuel, though. James Conner's looking great, but I feel like that's going to be short-lived. Overall, I think it's a pretty fair trade, though. And I do think it's a good time to be trading Alvin Kamara. I think you could have got a little bit more than that, though, for him. You think Kamara is going to play? No. It seems like he's on the wrong side of questionable right now. Guys, we're live on TikTok and YouTube right now. Coming over to the YouTube Live, you can see my top 10 rankings, every single position, and my picks against the spread for the week, and just a little bit more information. Link is in the TikTok bio. When we get to 100 likes on the YouTube Live, got a free prop pick for you all, too. So hit the like button if you're watching live on YouTube. I do appreciate that. Hilton or Gage this weekend? Yeah, T.Y. Hilton's coming back. I don't know how you could possibly trust T.Y. Hilton, though. So, yeah, you should probably be playing Gage. Someone dropped Drake in my league. Do I pick him up? Yeah, guys, Kenyan Drake. I don't know if you've been paying attention enough to realize Kenyan Drake is going off this season right now. Kenyan Drake has been like insanely productive over the last 3 games. He's gone over 16 points each of the last 3 games. Guys, Kenyan Drake has finished as a top 12 running back in 3 straight games. He hasn't played even half the snaps in any of those games. He's been top 12 running back in all of them. Like, he's been really, really efficient. He scored 3 touchdowns in the last 4 games, which helped. He didn't score last week, though. He still finished as a top 12 running back. He had 100 yards, 6 catches last week. So, yeah, definitely add Kenyan Drake. Pick one, Dearness Johnson, Swift, Lamb, or DJ Moore. Yeah, I like Dearness Johnson a lot, but I don't think you'd be playing him over Swift or Lamb. Personally, I think you kind of have to go DeAndre Swift here. I like CeeDee Lamb a lot, too, though. But DeAndre Swift's leading all running backs in receiving yards. His ceiling's just so high. Rashad Bateman or Shenault? Definitely Rashad Bateman. Definitely Rashad Bateman. Hey, Sam, thanks for the great content. True, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate the positivity. Mike Williams, Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett, or Jalen Waddle. I think you got to go Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. Like, you got to start both those guys this week. Bateman or Lockett. Yeah, you got to go Lockett. I think Russell Wilson's back this week. Start Devonta Freeman. Yeah, in most situations, you can start Devonta Freeman. I wouldn't be starting him over Michael Carter, though. I would not be starting him over Michael Carter. Hawkinson or Knox? Got to be TJ Hawkinson. It's got to be TJ Hawkinson. OBJ rest of season. Yeah, Noah Cohen. I don't think he's going to be. I think he's like a wide receiver 3. He's going to be inconsistent. Should I trade Robert Woods if you can? I don't know what you're going to get for Robert Woods at the current moment, but if you can, yeah. I would prefer Jacoby Myers over Robert Woods, for example, and you probably could do that trade. Would you trade Woods for Deontay Johnson? Yeah, 100% I would. Deontay Johnson's been so consistent. Chase Claypool dealing with an injury now, too. Deontay Johnson's locked in as the wide receiver 1 for the Steelers, as he has been this whole season. So, yeah, don't hate that. Guys, we're live on TikTok and YouTube right now. Link to the YouTube Live's in the TikTok bio. You can see my top 10 quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends for this week. And my number 1 overall quarterback this week is Lamar Jackson. One of my bold predictions of the week is Lamar Jackson has over 400 total yards tonight. To me, Lamar Jackson has to be in the MVP conversation. He hasn't had the greatest game in every game he's played. Like, he's had bad games this season, and he's not shown up in some big moments. But you look at the body of work Lamar Jackson's putting together. He leads the NFL in rushing yards. It's not even close. He's really like a running back in terms of his rushing stats. He's averaging 75 rushing yards per game. His over-under tonight 62.5. I don't hate that at all. Dolphins are a bottom 10 rushing defense. But the really interesting part about Lamar Jackson for me is that he's pushing the ball deeper downfield this season, and he's more aggressive down the field, and he's improved as a passer. That's the exciting part for me about Lamar Jackson. That's not getting talked about enough. I think Lamar Jackson is one of the most overlooked quarterbacks of our era. Lamar Jackson is, to me, already a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's the best rushing quarterback of all time. And he's going to put on a show, I think, against the Dolphins tonight. My number 1 overall quarterback this week. Should I trade Eckler for James Robinson and Brandon Cooks? I don't hate it, but you're giving up the best player. So, Calvin, I'd only do this trade if you're going to definitely be starting James Robinson and Cooks. Devonta Smith, Myers, or Waddle for flex. Devonta Smith starting to heat up, guys. Devonta Smith was my most drafted player in fantasy football this season, and he's starting to heat up. And we've known that the peripheral numbers have been there for Devonta Smith all season. That's why he's been a buy low candidate for most of the season. But he's really dominating the air yards for the Philadelphia Eagles. He has the 6th highest percentage of air yards of any player. So the percentage of Eagles passing air yards, the amount the ball travels in the air, he has 41% of those yards. That's the 6th highest in the NFL. He's the 11th most total air yards. He's the 8th highest target distance. Like, he's seeing balls down the field, but he's also seeing very consistent targets. And he's starting to turn those into fantasy points. He had 22 points last week, 116 yards against a good Charger secondary. So, yeah, I do like Devonta Smith, but he's a boom bust option right now. The week before that, I'm pretty sure he went under 3 points. Jalen Waddle's, I think, safer than Jacoby Myers. So I think if you're going for the ceiling, you go Devonta Smith. If you're going for the floor, I mean, look no further than Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle's locked in to targets this week with no Devontae Parker. And again, I think the Dolphins are going to get destroyed. Mark Ingram, Moss/Singletary, Adrian Peterson, or J.D. McKissick. If Alvin Kamara doesn't play, it's got to be Mark Ingram. If Alvin Kamara does play, I don't hate J.D. McKissick against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Are we starting Hollywood with him lining up against Xavier Howard? Yeah, you are. You got to be starting. Got to be starting. He's gotten over 15 points in over 75% of his games this season. Start Devonta Freeman. Yeah, again, there's two sides to every single start-sit question, but I think that you got to be starting him in most situations. Devonta Smith or Cole Beasley. Yeah, again, Cole Beasley's got a way, way, way safer floor than Devonta Smith. He's seeing way more targets and just safer targets. But Devonta Smith's going to see more deep down the field targets. So I think I personally would go Devonta Smith because that's how I roll. I like to take risks in fantasy football. That's why I drafted Devonta Smith in the first place. So yeah, I'd go Devonta Smith. Pick 2, Julio, McKissick, Bateman. Guys, man, Julio Jones cannot catch a break. Like I think we are witnessing the end of Julio Jones. He picked up a hamstring injury, I think today. Like actually just like a few hours ago, I think it was reported. He's likely out this week. So yeah, pour one out for Julio Jones, guys. I think you go Bateman over McKissick though. Thoughts on CH rest of season? Yeah, man, I'm so excited to see Clyde Edwards-Helaire come back. I think he's going to be more of a running back 2 though than the running back 1 we all wanted him to be. I think he's going to be an inconsistent running back 2 in the Chiefs offense. Like you need 2 things to happen. One, you need Clyde Edwards-Helaire to be seeing significant playing time for the Chiefs, which that's definitely not a guaranteed thing. It could be closer to a 60% snap share than an 80% snap share. But then on top of that, we also need the Chiefs offense to figure it out. And that part to me feels like it's going to happen. Like I'm not that worried about the Chiefs offense overall, but they still have to, like they got to flip the switch because they have not been very good in the past few games. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I missed that question. Zach Moss or Kenyan Drake. Yeah, I think I'd go Kenyan Drake at this point. Again, he's been a top 12 running back 3 straight weeks. He almost has to see more volume. Let me see if I can pull that question up again. I think I lost it. Guys, we're live on YouTube and TikTok right now. It is a little bit easier for me to answer questions. I think I found it. Answer questions on the YouTube live. I can pull them up right on the screen. And you can see my top 10 rankings, every position on the YouTube live. Just a little bit more features on the YouTube live. Link is in the TikTok bio. Hit that like button if you are watching the YouTube live. I will try to answer as many questions as I can from both TikTok and YouTube, though. Javonte Williams or Michael Carter, subscribed and rated your app 5 stars. Chase, thank you so much. Guys, the number one way you could possibly support me is by subscribing to one of the premium subscriptions in the WalterPicks app. But the second way, which costs zero money, by the way, all the premium subscriptions in the app, completely free 7-day trial. But the second best way is downloading the app, tossing it a 5-star review. We passed 3,000 5-star reviews, which is super exciting recently. But I would go Michael Carter over Javonte Williams. The volume's just going to be there more than it is for Javonte Williams. What's Saquon worth? Yeah, to me, Saquon's a top 12 running back as soon as he returns. But I understand valid concerns for Saquon Barkley. There's very valid concerns. Because Devontae Booker's been good in his absence. Corey Davis coming back. Beasley at flex. Should I start Marvin Jones and Sutton? Yeah, I would be playing Corey Davis and Beasley, I think, over both Marvin Jones and Sutton. Carter and Hawkinson. Carter or Hawkinson? Yeah, I'd go Carter. Again, I don't want to start 2 tight ends. You shouldn't want to start 2 tight ends. The floor for tight ends, for almost all tight ends, is so low. Do I trade Mike Williams, OBJ, and CEH for Mixon? Yeah, I do not dislike this one. You're getting the best player in the trade. Guys, can we talk about Joe Mixon for a second? Can we just take 2 seconds and talk about Joe Mixon? And I'm making a video about this probably before Sunday. And I don't want to jinx anything, but this is exactly why I think ignoring injuries in the sense that you just don't pretend like you know who's going to get injured before the season is a big advantage in fantasy. You don't know who's going to get hurt. Let's stop pretending like we know who's going to get hurt. Joe Mixon went into the season as like a really big injury risk. There's been so many running back injuries. Joe Mixon himself has dealt with injuries. Still, he's had at least 10 carries in every single game this season. He's played in every single game this season. He's gotten over 10 points in every single game this season except for 1. He has as many touchdowns as games this season. He has 9 touchdowns. Joe Mixon has been dominant. He's finished as a top 5 running back 4 different times. He's almost finished as a top 5 running back in half of his games. He's 9th in fantasy points per game at the running back position. I mean, yeah, I think he's a good guy to go get. And this is another example of why you just don't pretend like you know who's going to get hurt going into the season. The injury bias for Joe Mixon was just crazy this season. That's why he was such an easy value in the second round. Bateman or Michael Carter? I think I like Michael Carter more. I like Michael Carter a lot. The Jets do have a really tough matchup this week, but I still think I like Michael Carter. He's been really, really involved. We'll see if Tevin Coleman's back. I don't think he is. If you think Tevin Coleman's going to be back, though, this week, then maybe Rashad Bateman. Can you pick two, Devonta Freeman, Javonte Williams, Dearness? You got to be starting Dearness Johnson. Let me pull up my tight end rankings. I see that question in the YouTube live. You got to be starting Dearness Johnson. And then Javonte Williams versus Devonta Freeman. That one's really close. I think I would probably lean towards Devonta Freeman, though. I think I'm off Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon this week. Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, they're playing behind a very injured offensive line. Very injured. The 3 out of the 5 starting offensive line are out. You can see my top 10 rankings on the YouTube live right now, by the way. Link is in the TikTok bio if you're watching live on TikTok. But you got to be starting George Kittle from here on out. I mean, if George Kittle putting up an absolute day against the number 1 defense against tight ends, the Arizona Cardinals last week, doesn't do enough for you, I don't know what will. George Kittle is a must-start player for the rest of the season. Gaskin. That's the comment. Gaskin. Yeah, start Gaskin tonight, guys. Start Myles Gaskin. Again, when we get to 100 likes in the YouTube live, I got a free prop pick for it tonight. So smash the like button. We are starting to heat up with the free prop picks. We nailed Nick Chubb over 82.5 rushing yards last week. He did that in almost 1 carry. I don't need 15 carries, and he had 140 yards. We are almost 100 likes. Guys, we got almost 100 people in the live right now. So smash the like button. And we got a free prop pick. Hit that like button if you're watching live on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button too. Sam, love the app and gave a 5-star review. Thank you so much. What running backs would you look to pick up if Kamara ends up being out? Yeah, I would go look to see, honestly, if Mark Ingram is available. If he's not, I think a deep sleeper this week is going to be one of the Patriots running backs. J.J. Taylor, Ramondre Stevenson, Brandon Bolden. Like, it looks like Damon Harris might be out. And I think Ramondre Stevenson, like a lot of these guys are dealing with injuries. So there could be a pretty consolidated backfield for the Patriots this week. So I'd go look to see what's going on there. I also think Le'Veon Bell is a pretty sneaky play tonight too. Le'Veon Bell had his first game really in the last year and a half that he actually looked good last week. And again, I think the Ravens could destroy the Dolphins tonight, and they are not a good run defense. So Le'Veon Bell is an interesting chance at a touchdown, but he plays Thursday night, so I don't think that's a very good Kamara replacement. I don't think we're going to know if Alvin Kamara is playing until like right up till kickoff. It's probably going to happen during the Sunday live stream. Hey, Sam, Amari Cooper for D-Hop? No, I think I'd honestly prefer Amari Cooper at this point. I think I'd prefer Amari Cooper over DeAndre Hopkins. Amari Cooper's also just healthier right now. Bateman or Odell? Bateman. Definitely. Gaskin on FF? What does that mean? What does FF mean? You high on Devonta Freeman? I'm not like extremely high on him. He's not on my must start list tonight. He's on like my fringe start list tonight. So I'm not low on him. I think he's going to have a good game. But the problem with the Ravens running backs is they're not going to catch very many passes. The over-under for Devonta Freeman receiving tonight is 9.5 receiving yards. It's like he could easily go under 10. He could have 0 catches tonight. That would not shock anyone. And then he also has a pretty scary chance at a touchdown because Lamar Jackson could steal any rushing touchdown. Le'Veon Bell could steal any rushing touchdown. So if he doesn't catch any passes and doesn't score any touchdowns, the floor is pretty low for Devonta Freeman. Like the floor is under 5 points. He could go 50 yards. He could have 15 carries, 50 yards, and no catches, no touchdowns. I still like him. Like I think he does have a decent chance to touch. The Dolphins aren't a very good run defense, but there's a kind of a scary floor there for him. Pick 2, Moss, Bateman, Harris. Yeah, again, we don't know if Damon Harris is even playing this week. So I think you got to keep an eye on those Patriots running backs. J.J. Taylor could actually be like by himself in the backfield this weekend. He's looked good for the Patriots in preseason and in limited opportunities. But I think I would go Bateman and Moss over Harris this week. Pittman or Cooper? Michael Pittman or Amari Cooper? It's got to be Amari Cooper, man. I know Michael Pittman's been dominating, but Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb and honestly the entire Dallas Cowboys offense, I'm not gonna bet against them this week after a really bad week. Michael Carter or Kenyan Drake? I don't really understand. I don't understand how Kenyan Drake has been this efficient on the Raiders. He's been, again, top 12 running back 3 straight weeks. But Kenyan Drake also has a much better matchup against the Chiefs than Michael Carter has against the Bills this week. I feel like if you plug this one in the WalterPicks app, which uses AI to project every single player every single week, it's completely free to download in the in the iOS App Store. It's called WalterPicks. Link is in the description or the TikTok bio. Check it out. All the premium features too are completely free for 7 days. But I feel like Michael Carter's probably projected ahead of Kenyan Drake. But personally, I feel a little bit better about Kenyan Drake this week. Trade Eckler for Mixon and Diggs. Yeah, 100%. You got to do that. Mixon and Eckler aren't that far apart. Like, I like Eckler more than Mixon. But Stephon Diggs has been the buy low candidate all season. Like, Stephon Diggs is the buy low candidate. He's on a very aggressive passing offense as the number 1 target. He's top 12 in the NFL in air yards. And he just hasn't had that big game yet. Thursday night game, Waddle or Ayuk. Yeah, I lean towards Waddle. I'm on the Ayuka, the bazooka hype train. I'm on the train. Get on the train if you're not on the train yet. There's plenty of room. There's plenty of room on the train for Brandon Ayuk. And I do like Ayuk this week. Like, I like Ayuk more than Bateman, but I think I like Waddle more than Ayuk and Bateman. Because Waddle just, to me, feels like a very safe floor tonight. Gaskin or Elijah Mitchell, thank you. Justin, yeah, I'd go Gaskin. I like Gaskin tonight. Gaskin or McKissick, I think I'd go Gaskin over McKissick too. What should I try trading Antonio Gibson for? Yeah, Frankie, you waited a little bit too long to trade Antonio Gibson. We shouted, I think months, like really like a month ago to trade Antonio Gibson. So you're really gonna be scraping the bottom of the barrel at this point, trying to trade Antonio Gibson. I'd honestly recommend waiting till he has a good game to trade. But if you're gonna trade him, I think Jacoby Myers is a pretty good buy low candidate right now. Eckler and for Taylor and Clyde, yeah, do that. I mean, Taylor could easily be better than Eckler the rest of the season. Trade Cordero Patterson for what? Yeah, max. I mean, I traded Cordero Patterson for Devonta Smith like a month and a half. It was like 6 weeks ago. It was like week 3 or 4. And that has not played out well for me. Cordero Patterson, he's locked into volume. I don't think you should trade him. I think you should hold on to him. And I messed up on that trade in one of my high-stakes season-long leagues, even though Devonta Smith I still think has a really high ceiling, especially in the fantasy football playoffs, where he gets Washington twice and then the Giants in between that. Smash that like button. That's what I'm talking about, Ryan. We're almost at 100 likes. We have almost 100 people in the YouTube live. Everyone hit the like button to 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Hit the like button. We get to 100 likes. I got a free prop pick for us all. But yeah, I mean, nobody's rooting for Cordero Patterson and Devonta Smith more than me. I have both of them in over a third of my best ball drafts. And the best ball regular season is coming to a close in the next 4 weeks. And as it stands, I'm going to have over 20 chances at the $1 million prize. So we'll see how that goes. But I'll definitely post some updates about that on TikTok too. Dearness Johnson or Kenyan Drake. Got to be Dearness Johnson. Dearness Johnson, let me pull my top 10 running backs on the YouTube Live. Again, link is in the TikTok bio for that. But Dearness Johnson is a top 10 running back this week. He's number 10 for me. Assuming Alvin Kamara doesn't play, then he's a top 10 running back. Ayuk or DJ Moore? I'd still go DJ Moore. Bro, PJ Walker or Jordan Howard at Superflex. Bro, gotta be PJ Walker. Come on. The XFL superstar PJ Walker in his one game to shine now that Cam Newton's on the team. You can't be not playing a quarterback in the Superflex if you have a quarterback to play. Should I ever give away Tyreek Hill or A.J. Brown? No, I wouldn't be giving away either of those guys. Mike Gesicki or Dawson Knox, I'd go Gesicki. Gesicki is up against a Ravens defense that's allowed the second most points to tight ends this season. Gesicki's a must-start tonight. Do I start Bateman? Yeah, I think in most situations you start Bateman. Marquise Brown or Lockett? I prefer Lockett over Marquise Brown. Russell Wilson's back. I mean, Russell Wilson returning, that means Marquise Brown's back to a 40-point ceiling. Like, the ceiling's just uncapped for Tyler Lockett every week. Devonta Freeman. Yeah, Devonta Freeman is startable tonight. But I think he's a low floor. Gesicki or Andrews. Yeah, if you look at my top 10 tight ends, they're right next to each other. I have Andrews at number 5, and I have Gesicki at number 6. So I think I would go Gesicki. I mean, I think I would go Andrews. But it's close. It is close. Gesicki actually is the one in the better matchup. Gesicki seems like he's destined for more targets, but he's also on the team that's going to score way less points. So I think Andrews has a much better chance at the touchdown. Bateman or Javonte Williams? I'd go Bateman. I don't want Javonte Williams or Melvin Gordon this week. The Broncos are without 3 of their best 5 offensive line. Bateman, Jacoby Myers, Kirk, Antonio Gibson, Jeff. You cannot be starting Jeff Wilson. I mean, anyone that tosses up a donut, it can't be starting, especially the running back position. Like, we shouldn't just magically expect Jeff Wilson to get more touches this week unless there's significant injuries to the backfield. And I know a lot of those guys are banged up, but I don't think they're going to miss game time. I think this one's pretty easily the first 2. I think you got to be going Bateman. You got to be going Jacoby Myers. I think DeAndre Hopkins and A.J. Green return this week too, so that's a big downgrade for Christian Kirk. Yo, Sam, love the content. Drew, thanks so much, man. Appreciate the positivity. Odell for T. Higgins. I don't hate it. I think it's pretty fair, honestly. T. Higgins is the number 2 guy in this team. Odell's going to be number 2.5, maybe. To me, he's going to be 3. So I don't hate it. I think it's pretty fair. I always find the 1-for-1 with the same position trades in fantasy strange. Like how could both guys convince themselves that's a good trade? But I like T. Higgins more than Odell rest of the season. Start Hollywood or Fournette. Yeah, got to be Fournette. It's got to be Fournette. Hey, man, should I trade Kamara for Patterson and Carter? I don't love this one. Jose, I don't love this one. I think you can get a little bit more than this. I don't hate it, but I also don't love it. Do I trade or keep Kamara? Yeah, I posted a video a couple days. I think this is the time to trade Alvin Kamara. Sammy Watkins active. Holden, you break news on this live stream all the time. According to Holden, we got Sammy Watkins active. Now let me pull this up. Even better news for Lamar Jackson. Latavius Murray inactive, but Sammy Watkins is active for Week 10 against the Miami Dolphins. Tua is active as an emergency backup. That's interesting. As an emergency backup, Tua is active. But Sammy Watkins is active, and that is a downgrade for Rashad Bateman. It is a slight downgrade for Mark Andrews and for Marquise Brown. They've been playing without Sammy Watkins for a couple weeks now. So yeah, I think this is a big deal. Do I trade away Saquon, DJ plus Galladay? Let me pull this question up really quickly. Do I trade away Saquon, DJ plus Galladay for Najee and Diggs non-PPR? Also, please consider playoff matchups too. Yeah, I don't hate this at all. Najee Harris is going to see more volume than Saquon, so I'd take him over Saquon all day. And I like Diggs way more than Galladay and DJ. Hold on, I like this trade a lot. Marcus, a 2-year app subscriber. Marcus, thanks so much, man. Honestly, Marcus, every one of the WalterPicks subscribers, the paying subscribers in the app for the premium subscriptions, especially those that have been around 2 years, like you are the reason I'm currently living out my dream of doing this full time. So seriously, Marcus, thank you so much. Start Bateman over Devonta Smith. This one's really close for me. I think I would lean towards Devonta Smith over Bateman. I do like Bateman. Like I think Watkins playing tonight isn't good news for Bateman, but I still think Bateman's fine. Like I still think he's a fine play. Bateman's good. Like Bateman's going to play ahead of Watkins, in my opinion. But we haven't seen them play together yet. So like there is some uncertainty there. Devonta Smith, meanwhile, I think he's just locked into a high ceiling. They both have a low floor, though. I'd argue Bateman actually has a safer floor. But yeah, I'm chasing the ceiling with Devonta Smith, and maybe this is a downfall for me. Like I've played Devonta Smith in almost every week that I have him on every team, and that has not gone well in a lot of leagues. But I do like Devonta Smith this week. Just bought the app. Thank you so much. Thoughts on Jamar rest of season? Yeah, Jamar Chase is a top 12 wide receiver rest of season, rest of career. I built this is actually really exciting from Jamar Chase. I built a machine learning model this offseason to project rookie wide receiver performance. And by the way, the WalterPicks app is powered by machine learning. That's kind of like our thing in the WalterPicks brand. And I built an algorithm to project rookie performance. And Jamar Chase broke the model. The nice thing about building models for stuff like this is you can look back at how would this model have ranked previous receiver classes, previous rookies. So I compared this class to the previous class and the class before that, and Jamar Chase ranked ahead all of them. And he's just dominating. Yeah, I think he's a top 12 wide receiver rest of the season. He's really good. I wouldn't be selling Jamar Chase. 1-year app paying sub. Wow, thanks, man. Pick 2. Guys, again, if you haven't tried out any of the premium subscriptions in the WalterPicks app, you also get a completely free 7-day trial. So, I think this is really important for anything that you pay for like this. You should get a free trial. See if there's actually value there for you, then decide if it's worth the $5 a month or $17 a month, depending on which one you do. Pick 2, Robinson, Elijah Mitchell, Gaskin, half PPR. Yeah, I'm going Robinson and Gaskin here. I like Gaskin tonight. I do. We almost at 100 likes, by the way, so smash the like button. We're 15 likes away. Hit the like button. We're almost at the free player prop. We got way more than 15 people in here, so smash that like button in the YouTube live. We're live on TikTok, too, and in the TikTok chat, I'm seeing Jalen Waddle or Jerry Jeudy. I think I would lean towards Jerry Jeudy over Jalen Waddle. They're really close, but I think I would lean towards Jerry Jeudy. Devonta Freeman or Michael Carter because Edmonds is hurt. Yeah, the Chase Edmonds injury, brutal. It's always horrible when they get injured so early in the game, too, for fantasy. But yeah, injury is just the worst part of sports, worst part of football. Hopefully Chase Edmonds comes back soon. He's really having a great season. Michael Carter does not have a good matchup this week, but I still like Michael Carter more than Devonta Freeman in PPR leagues because the ceiling for receiving is just so much different. Devonta Freeman could easily finish this game with 0 catches, 0 yards, 0 touchdowns. Like I think that's pretty reasonable to expect. There's like a 50-50 shot that happens. So I think I like Michael Carter more in a PPR league. If it's not a PPR league, I think I like Devonta Freeman more. Mike Davis or Devonta Freeman? Yeah, that's got to be Devonta Freeman. Mike Davis should be nowhere. Mike Davis should be closer to the waiver wire than your starting line. Let's put it that way. Love the app. Thanks, Jack. Would you trade Alvin Kamara and Ayuk for Montgomery, Terry McLaurin, and Tony Pollard? Ooh, that one's interesting. I think, Jack, I think you can get a little bit more for Kamara, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Like Terry McLaurin, I'd still take over Ayuk the Bazooka. I am all aboard the Ayuk the Bazooka hype train, and there's plenty of room, guys, if you want to join. But I still like Terry McLaurin more. Like Pollard doesn't really do much for me in this trade, though. So I think you can get more for Kamara than this. Mark Andrews or Kittle? Yeah, come to the YouTube live. I got my top 10 tight ends. They have been on the bottom of the screen, scrolling at the bottom of the screen for a while. Could answer this question for you too. But yeah, you got to go Kittle. You have to play Kittle every single week for the rest of the season. You have to play George Kittle. He's my number 3 tight end, only after Travis Kelce, Darren Waller this week. Ayuk the Bazooka or Bateman? Yeah, so again, I'm seeing a lot of Ayuk, Bateman, and Waddle questions tonight. And I would rank those guys this week as Waddle number 1, Ayuk number 2, and Bateman number 3. But I do like all 3 of them. Like, I think they're all good options. I do still like Bateman. Start Marquise Brown, Sam. There's 2 sides to every start sit to question, man. I think generally speaking, yeah, you should start it, even against Xavier Howard. He's been really good. He's gone over 15 points in 75% of his games. Only 2 games he hasn't gone under 15 points. What do I do about Robert Woods? Yeah, there's not much you can do. Like, he's not going to be as good now. He's going to be even more consistent than he already was, and he already wasn't consistent. He just strung together a couple good games for us. So yeah, there's not much to do. I don't think you're going to be able to sell him after the Odell Beckham Jr. sign. Trade Connor, Debo? I don't understand the question. You said trade Connor, Debo, Connor. That doesn't make any sense. Kittle or Gesicki? Got to be Kittle, man. It's got to be Kittle. I like Gesicki. The Ravens have been second worst against tight ends. It's got to be George Kittle. It's got to be George Kittle. We are 12 likes away. Guys, we're 12 likes away on the YouTube Live. Smash the like button. We got less than an hour till football on our television screens. Baltimore Ravens versus the Miami Dolphins. I'm taking the Ravens. I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens as 7.5-point favorites tonight. Lock it in. It's actually a lock for me this week. I'm 65% on my lock picks this season, and I'm taking the Ravens tonight against the spread. I think the Ravens could destroy the Dolphins. I have Lamar Jackson as my number 1 overall quarterback this week. Is Lamar about to have himself a game? He's about to have himself a game tonight. Lamar Jackson is going to re-enter himself into the MVP conversation, which really he should be in already. Andrews or Gesicki? Yeah, they're really close for me. I have Andrews ranked 1 spot ahead of Gesicki. If you come to the YouTube Live, by the way, you can see my top 10 rankings against the spread for my top 10 rankings for every single position, plus my favorite picks against the spread this week. Link is in the TikTok bio to come to the YouTube Live. We're almost at 100 likes in the YouTube Live, which means free player prop pick coming up very soon. But yeah, I've marked Andrews ranked 1 spot ahead of Gesicki. Gesicki is a better matchup. I argue Andrews has a better chance at a touchdown. I think they both could do well. But I like Andrews just a little bit more. Cordell Patterson, Michael Pittman, Marquise Brown. Pick 2 of them. Who should I start this week? Yeah, it's got to be those. It's got to be those first 2. I think I would go Michael Pittman and Cordell over Marquise Brown. I like Marquise Brown tonight, but I think I'd like those other 2 guys more. Kamara for Fournette and DK. Yeah, Jackson, this one you got to do it instantly. You got to do this one. You got to do this one. You got to do this one. Alvin Kamara for Fournette and DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, I think, are pretty good buy low candidates right now. We are 3 likes away from the free prop pick. I smash that like button. We'll get to 100 likes. Bateman or Dillon flex standard league. Also, I have Aaron Jones starting. Yeah, just try out Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. If it's a standard league changes. Like, running backs are so much more valuable in standard leagues. And we got the Packers in a pretty good spot this week against the Seattle Seahawks run defense that's been just really bad this season. I think you go the Quadzilla, AJ Dillon, and Aaron Jones. What should I do with Aaron Jones? You got to hold him. Anthony, hold him. Don't sell low. Jamar or Terry McLaurin rest of season? Yeah, it's got to be Jamar. Definitely Jamar. DJ Moore or Rashad Bateman? Got to be DJ Moore. PJ Walker's a little bit scary. I still think you got to go with DJ Moore, though. Smash that like button like we smash ESPN. Yeah, guys, we've been dominating ESPN in accuracy for 2.5 seasons now, going on 3 seasons, over 15% more accurate than Yahoo and ESPN in the WalterPicks app. Completely free to download and try. We are at 100 likes, though. So here's the free player prop pick of the night. And I got to be honest, the first time Walter spit out this prop, when I saw this, I was nervous. The more I looked into it, though, the better and better it looked. The free prop pick tonight is Myles Gaskin, over 20.5 receiving yards. And you got to hear me out on this one. Myles Gaskin's coming off a horribly inefficient game. He touched the ball 26 times. He had 6 targets, 6 catches last game, but he barely had even 70 yards. 26 touches, 70 yards is not very good for those of you counting at home. And he was even more inefficient as a runner. But you got to look a little bit deeper into Myles Gaskin's touches per game with Jacoby Brissett at the helm. Jacoby Brissett has helped Myles Gaskin in the receiving game. He's coming off, Gaskin played a season-high 73% snap share last week. He also ran a season-high 30 routes. And with Jacoby Brissett, he's averaging 5.4 targets per game and 25.4 receiving yards per game. So this really is a valuable prop. And I think on most sports books, it's at 22.5. But on Prize Picks, it's at 20.5. He's played 5 games with Brissett this season. He's averaging 25 yards, 5 targets in those games. And then you look at the matchup for Myles Gaskin. He gets a good matchup tonight against, first of all, I think the Ravens are going to put up tons of points. So the Dolphins are going to have to throw. But the Ravens defense has also allowed the 7th most receiving yards per game to running backs this season. So Dolphins 8-point underdogs. Plenty of passing for Jacoby Brissett tonight. Straight to Myles Gaskin. Walter's got him projected for 26.3 yards. I honestly like it as high as 22.5. You can find this prop on Prize Picks. If you have never used Prize Picks before, use code WALTER. You'll get a completely free deposit bonus. However much you deposit for the first time on Prize Picks, if you use the code WALTER, you'll be matched up to $100. Hey, Sam, would you give Kamara, Ridley, and Hawkinson to receive Swift, Jay Jefferson, and Gasicki? Yeah, I think I'd do this one. I mean, we don't know if Calvin Ridley's even going to come back. Like, it's so hard to know if Calvin Ridley's even going to come back. Bateman or Devonta Smith? Yeah, I like the ceiling of Devonta Smith more than Bateman. I think Bateman's got a much safer floor, though. Would you hold or trade Jalen Hurts in Dynasty? Oh, that's a good one. I'd probably trade. I'd probably trade him. Just bought the monthly subscription. A.J. Brown or Jamar Chase? Giovanni, thank you so much, man. I do appreciate it. I think A.J. Brown versus Jamar Chase is super close. And if it's rest of season, I'm going A.J. Brown over Jamar Chase. If it's this week, I think I'm going A.J. Brown over Jamar Chase too. A.J. Brown's up against Marshawn Lattimore this week and the Saints. I still like A.J. Brown. I go back and watch every game at least once. And you go back and Jamar Chase has been balling out. But I'm taking A.J. Brown over Jamar Chase. Hey, Sam, love the app. Thanks, man. Should I trade Waller, Deontay, and Fournette for Thielen, Andrews, and Chubb? No, I would not do that. You're giving up the better tight end. You're giving up arguably the better receiver and running backs. Like, I like Nick Chubb, but he's also out this week. And Fournette, to me, is due for some positive touchdown regression as well. Guys, we got like 25 minutes left in the live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in, by the way. I say this at least once every single live stream. Thank you for tuning in. I think time is the most valuable thing we have. So thank you for spending some time with me tonight. Will Kupp's production fall or still wide receiver 1 with OBJ? Yeah, guys, Odell Beckham Jr. is officially a Los Angeles Ram, and I think it does not affect Cooper Kupp really at all. Like, Cooper Kupp is still going to be the number 1 target for Matthew Stafford. You got to still be feeling so confident about Cooper Kupp in fantasy. Like, Cooper Kupp's going to ball out. He's going to ball out. I think it does affect Robert Woods, though, definitely. Hollywood, DK, or CMC, or Keenan. Guys, start Christian McCaffrey. Start Christian McCaffrey. Melvin Gordon or Gaskin. It's got to be Gaskin. Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams are not as good as Gaskin this week for me. The Broncos are without 3 of their 5 starting offensive linemen. Who's going to be the Ravens' top scorer today, do you think? Yeah, let me pull my must-starts. And Sammy Watkins is playing tonight, which I think muddles the Ravens' offense even more than it already is. I mean, Lamar Jackson's going to be the top scorer tonight in the game. He's my number 1 overall quarterback this week. He honestly could be the number 1 overall fantasy scorer, period, across all positions this week. But I still like Marquise Brown. I still like Mark Andrews, Mike Gesicki, Jalen Waddle, Myles Gaskin in this game. The top scoring Raven, though, for me, probably Marquise Brown. It's probably going to be Marquise Brown. I think Mark Andrews is also pretty interesting sleeper tonight too. Waddle or Thielen? I think you got to go Jalen Waddle over Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen, let me pull up Adam Thielen's stats really quickly, but I feel like Adam Thielen has been disappointing. I actually haven't rewatched that Vikings game yet. I'm going to rewatch it, I think, tomorrow morning. I'm through most of the games from last week. But Adam Thielen, I'm just pulling up the stats right now. He is actually a little bit better than I would have expected. But he has gone under 9 points in 3 of his last 5 games. He's also he's been a top 14 receiver in 2 of his last 3, though. I think you got to go Adam Thielen. I think I changed my mind. I would go Adam Thielen over Jalen Waddle. Adam Thielen's seeing pretty much just as much volume. So I think I'd go Thielen. Waddle or Renfro? That one's really close. Renfro's been on fire. Just absolute fire. I feel like you almost have to go Renfro. Thoughts on DK? Yeah, Caleb. I think DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are both super good buy candidates right now with Russell Wilson returning. Sam the Man, Bateman, Hines, Le'Veon, or Deshaun Jackson, half PPR. Love to see Deshaun Jackson in this question. I do think Deshaun Jackson was a pretty good ad in leagues. Like, he could fit really well into that Henry Ruggs role. But in this one, I think it's pretty clearly Rashad Bateman. Like, you got to go Rashad Bateman. I actually think Le'Veon Bell's a sneaky play tonight, too. Lockett or Pittman? Yeah, I'd go Lockett. If Russell Wilson plays, you got to go Lockett. Henderson or Barkley? Is Barkley going to play this week? If not, like, even if he does, I think you kind of have to go Henderson. Donovan People-Jones or Julio? Guys, RIP Julio. I mean, he tweaked his hamstring in practice again today. Jake, no need to spam. Man, there's not a single reason to spam in the YouTube live. One for flex, Hollywood, DK, or CMC, or Keenan. Yeah, it's got to be Christian McCaffrey. Bateman or Ayuk? Yeah, I'd like Ayuk a little bit more than Bateman. I do. I like Ayuk a little bit more than Bateman. Will Bateman break out? Yeah, he definitely can. Bateman's good. Guys, Bateman's really good. But Watkins is also back tonight, so it's a little bit less clear how the offense will work with Watkins because we have not seen Sammy Watkins and Bateman playing the same game. Player prop pick. Yeah, Sam, you missed it. We got Myles Gaskin over 20.5 receiving yards tonight. He's averaging a little over 25 receiving yards per game, which Jacoby Myers in the 5 games he's played with him. And the Ravens are allowing the 8th most or 7th most receiving yards per game to running backs this season. And the Dolphins are 8-point underdogs in this game. I think they're going to lose by more than that. So a lot of different reasons why I like Myles Gaskin's receiving prop tonight. Guys, trade Kamara, Dearness Johnson, and Knox for Aaron Jones and Deontay Johnson. Yeah, I like this one a lot. Dearness Johnson's a short-term solution. He's not going to win fantasy leagues, most likely, because Kareem Hunt's going to come back likely by the fantasy playoffs, and Nick Chubb's out on the COVID list, but he's likely back by next week too. I'm starting Bateman over Thielen. All right, good luck. Good luck. I wouldn't do that, but I don't hate it. Like, I still think Bateman's a good option. Waddle or Gasicki? You don't start tight ends over Waddle. I subscribed last week. Thanks, man. Rashad Bateman or Myers? I think this one's Rashad Bateman too. I like Jacoby Myers. I do. But he's been pretty inconsistent. Like, I'm expecting a bounce back Jacoby Myers game. I'm buying low on Jacoby Myers right now in fantasy. I've actually acquired him in 2 of my 6 high-stakes leagues this week for basically nothing. Like, people are ready to pretty much drop Jacoby Myers. I think that's a big mistake. He's had at least 9 in 6 of his last 7 games. He hasn't had a very big game, though, in over a month. But he's still the number 1 receiver for the Patriots. He's coming off a game where he only had 1 catch, but, I mean, the Patriots just dominated the Panthers in that game. It was not a good matchup for Jacoby Myers. I think I'm buying low on Jacoby Myers, but I would play Rashad Bateman over him this week. Gesicki or Kittle? It's got to be Kittle. If you watched Kittle last week, man, it's got to be Kittle. I know Gesicki's good. He's in a good matchup, but Kittle dominated in a tough matchup last week. Ingram or Carter if Kamara's out. Yeah, if Kamara's out, I think you kind of have to go Mark Ingram. Hey, Sam, just rated the app 5 stars and liked the video. Thanks, man. Thanks, Malachi. I got a question. This is a big trade. Brandon Cooks, Stephon Diggs, and Aaron Jones for Cooper Kupp, like that. Antonio Gibson. No. I don't want to be trading for Antonio Gibson and DeAndre Hopkins. Like, you're getting Cooper Kupp, who's probably the best player in the trade, but honestly, like, Cooper Kupp's going to outscore Stephon Diggs rest of the season, but you're selling low on Diggs. I wouldn't be trading Stephon Diggs. I would be fine trading Brandon Cooks, Aaron Jones for like David Montgomery and Cooper Kupp, but I don't love the trade. I would lean no on this one. Sell Aaron Jones, if so, for who? No, I don't think this is the time. This doesn't feel like a good time to sell Aaron Jones. He's going off a pretty bad game. Andrew's going off tonight. Yeah, he definitely can. He definitely can. Dolphins defense is nothing scary. Samuel, Woods, or Devonta. It's got to be Sam. It's got to be Samuel. It's got to be Bateman or Ayuk. Yeah, I like Ayuk more than Bateman. I do. I like Ayuk more than Bateman. We're on the Ayuka Bazooka hype train. Hey, Sam, should I trade Brandon Cooks and Schultz for Kittle? Yeah, I like that a lot. Love that one. Love that trade. I love upgrading 2 for 1 in a trade like that. You're getting the best player in the trade that's advantageous in fantasy. Because it's not like you're upgrading one of your spots. You can only start so many players. In the fantasy football playoffs, depth no longer matters. Like, depth matters to get to the playoffs, but if you're already in the playoffs, you should be trading away all of your depth. Waddle or Mike Williams? Thanks for the gifts, by the way. I would probably lean towards Mike Williams over Jalen Waddle. I like Waddle's floor Waddle's floor is higher, but Mike Williams' ceiling to me is much higher. So I think I would go Mike Williams. But if you want to lock in some targets, you go Jalen Waddle. He's going to see at least 7 targets tonight. Would you do Saquon for Darrell Henderson? No, Aiden. I don't think I would. Should I get Watkins off waivers and put him at flex? Kylo, again, there's 2 sides to every start decision, but probably not. Probably not. I feel like Watkins is going to have an extremely low floor. It's hard to know he's going to fit into this offense with Rashad Bateman in the offense as well. They have not played any games together. Gaskin, Darrell Williams, or Chris Carson coming off IR. Yeah, Jake, it's Gaskin, man. It's got to be Myles Gaskin. Moss or Bateman? I'm going with Rashad Bateman over Zach Moss. Ayuk or Sutton? I'm very down on Sutton. I would go Ayuk. Diggs for Saquon. That's pretty fair. It's pretty fair. I think I would honestly prefer Diggs, though. Debo plus Carter for Mixon. Which side would you choose? Definitely the Debo Samuel side. I like Joe Mixon a lot. I'd say he's the best player in the trade. But don't sleep on Debo Samuel, man. And don't sleep on Michael Carter either. So I think it's a pretty fair trade, honestly. But I would prefer the Debo plus Carter side. Dillon or Freeman? That one's close. I think Devonta Freeman is a little bit better. But A.J. Dillon has a really good matchup this week against the Seahawks. Russell Wilson's back, though. I feel like this isn't going to be a game where the Packers can just run it down the Seahawks' throat with Russell Wilson returning. This is going to be a game, though, where the Ravens can run it down the Dolphins' throat. So I think I would go with Devonta Freeman. How do you like this trade? I got Montgomery for Ayuk and Javonte Williams. I got Montgomery for Ayuk and Javonte Williams. Yeah, I like that a lot. I think Javonte Williams has league-winning upside. That's how talented he's been. But as long as Melvin Gordon's around, it's just not going to be there. Sam, what's going on with the Patriots running backs? Yeah, Joe Schmo. There's a lot going on. And I would monitor this situation very closely if you are in desperate need of a running back this week. If you have Alvin Kamara, who's on the wrong side of questionable right now this week, you got to be monitoring the Patriots running back situation because it could be J.J. Taylor by himself. We have let me pull this up really quickly. The Patriots have all sorts of injuries at the running back position. Damian Harris, he's truly questionable for this game this week. I'm pretty sure Brandon Bolden or Ramondre Stevenson or both. Let me pull this up. Are all dealing with injuries. J.J. Taylor is the only one that's not on the injury report right now. Damian Harris, concussion, sidelined for Thursday's practice. Ramondre Stevenson, concussion, remain sidelined for Thursday's practice. Neither of those guys practiced this week. Those are the top 2 running backs for the Patriots. Brandon Bolden will likely see the most volume if he's able to play and those 2 guys aren't. But I also think J.J. Taylor is going to get some run. Meanwhile, Trent Brown's returning for the Pats, or he's at least eligible to be activated off IR. But he returned to practice Wednesday. So he could play this weekend too. I think I would monitor that closely. And Brandon Bolden should probably be rostered in every league right now. Same thing with J.J. Taylor. Sam pick 2, Hollywood, Deontay, Keenan. I would go the last 2. I would go Deontay Johnson and Keenan Allen over Hollywood Brown. Is J.J. Taylor goal line? I don't know. J.J. Taylor's smaller than Brandon Bolden, so probably not. But I really don't know. I'm honestly not sure. We haven't really had to see that because Damian Harris has been the goal line back. J.J. Taylor's to me, J.J. Taylor's better than Brandon Bolden. And as a Patriots fan, I honestly just get sick to my stomach every time Brandon Bolden touches the ball. He's actually been okay. But when our third down play is giving the ball to Brandon Bolden, you got to understand as a Patriots fan, the best Patriots teams Brandon Bolden was on some of those teams, but he was on special teams. Like the best Patriots teams, Brandon Bolden was a special teamer. And now we're in 2021 and we're like scheming third downs to Brandon Bolden. Like it's really tough to swallow. And J.J. Taylor's actually looked really good in limited play. He's had some fumbling issues. Pretty sure he fumbled like his first touch of his career, if I remember correctly. So I'm not sure, Joe, but I think J.J. Taylor and Brandon Bolden will be pretty sneaky plays in fantasy if the other two are out, and neither of them practice today. So they're both, if you don't practice on Thursday, you are on the wrong side of questionable. DJ Moore value with Cam, yeah, I think DJ Moore is getting a boost with Cam Newton. There's already rapport between Cam Newton and DJ Moore and between Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey. I think it helps both those guys. Like I won't be surprised if we see a super consolidated target share between DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey for the Panthers for the rest of the season. How do you feel about Aaron Jones rest of the season with AJ Dillon stealing carries? Yeah, I would be fine trading him after a good week, but I wouldn't trade him now because Aaron Jones is going to have big weeks still. He's going to have big weeks still. Going into the season, this is actually like what we expected too. I thought AJ Dillon was going to basically take the Jamal Williams role, and that's what we've seen in the last few games, and AJ Dillon's done well in the role. He's a very good runner. Quad Dillon, man. He's actually my favorite player in the NFL. But I do like Aaron Jones still, and I think you should wait for a big game if you're thinking about trading him. Yeah, exactly what I thought. He's played about 40% of the snaps each of the last 2 weeks. That is what Jamal Williams did last season. He basically just officially took over the Jamal Williams role. I don't think that means you should be panicking. Is it worth starting either Darrell Williams or Chris Carson over Thielen? No, it's not. It's not. Should I start Woods over Elijah Mitchell in flex this week? Yeah, I probably would. Has to be the favorite. Packers.WalterPicks in the chat. Yeah, he's my favorite. He's my favorite, man. How could you not be a fan of AJ Dillon, the Quadzilla himself? I see a Myles Gaskin versus Christian Kirk question. Guys, I like Myles Gaskin tonight. There's a lot of things aligning for Myles Gaskin tonight. The Ravens have allowed the 7th most receiving yards per game to running backs. Gaskin had 26 touches last week, which was top 5 in the NFL. He didn't do that much with the touches, but the touches were there. And you got to chase the touches in fantasy. So Gaskin or Kittle, I'd probably go Kittle, though, in that situation. Ayuk or Julio at flex. Guys, Julio's likely not playing this week. He tweaked his hamstring at practice today. Just brutal. He just can't catch a break. Like, it really just feels like we're watching the end of Julio. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your intel. I got you, man. Hit that follow button and like button if you haven't already. I do appreciate that. Hey, Sam, do you like DJ Moore or Aaron Jones this week? Yeah, I like Aaron Jones more. I like Aaron Jones more than DJ Moore. Thoughts on Javonte Williams? Yeah, I'm out on Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon this week. The Broncos are without 3 of their 5 starting offensive linemen. And both of them are splitting touches with each other. To me, the floor is really low for them this week. And the ceiling is kind of capped too. Is it time to sell Melvin Gordon? Yeah, definitely this is a good time. Thielen or Waddle this week, bro? Yeah, I like Thielen a little bit more than Waddle. I like Thielen just a little bit more. How does OBJ impact Henderson? I don't think it impacts him that much. Do you see Ayuk or the Bazooka getting 15+? Yeah, Lincoln, I can see it, man. I can see it. I like Ayuk this week. We're on the Ayuk hype train. Bolden or Ingram? Nolan. If Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson are out and Alvin Kamara is out, we're going to assume all those things for this question. Because obviously, if those things aren't true, then that alters the question drastically. But if all that is true, then Brandon Bolden versus Mark Ingram to me is super, super close. And honestly, I think I would lean towards Brandon Bolden. The Saints are up against the Tennessee Titans. Somehow the Saints, by the way, they're only 2.5-point underdogs in that game. People are giving the Saints, I think, too much respect. I'm not in on the Saints offense as much as I am the Patriots offense, just because the quarterback situation with the Saints is so bad. So I think Brandon Bolden would have the better chance at a touchdown. The Patriots are 1-point favorites at home, maybe 1-point underdogs at home. I think they're 1-point favorites. Yeah, I think they're 1-point favorites at home. I think I'd go Brandon Bolden. I think I'd go Brandon Bolden. It's obviously close though. Sam, pick one. Adam Thielen, Dalton Schultz, or Devonta Freeman for flex. Yeah, I think you got to go Adam Thielen in that situation. Gesicki or Noah Fant. Sorry, not Font. It's Fant. It's Fant. It's not Font. It's Fant. I'd go Gasicki. Hey, Sam, need your help. Bateman or Marvin Jones? Definitely Bateman. Definitely Bateman. Bateman or Claypool? Definitely Bateman. Claypool's likely out this week. Beasley or Waddle? I'd go Waddle over Beasley. Mike Williams or CeeDee? Gotta be CeeDee Lamb, man. Gotta be CeeDee Lamb. Guys, we are live on YouTube. We are live on TikTok. Link to the YouTube live is in the TikTok bio. I always wrap up my live streams only on YouTube because it's a little bit easier to answer comments there. It's a little bit easier to pull up comments there. That's really the main reason. So I'm going to be wrapping up the YouTube live for the next 10 minutes, basically going rapid fire, trying to answer as many questions as I can. So click the link in the TikTok bio to come to the YouTube live. We're wrapping up the TikTok live now. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a good night if you don't follow to the YouTube live. If not, we'll be going rapid fire to the comment section in the YouTube live right now. I'll see you there, guys. Have a good night. All right, guys, we are live just on YouTube. We're live just on YouTube now. The best part of the stream is coming up where we go rapid fire in the comment section for the last 10 minutes of the stream. What do we know about Jeff Wilson moving forward? Jeff Wilson, it's not looking good right now for him. I've dropped him in a couple leagues already. That might have been a mistake. Like, it probably should have waited one more week to drop Jeff Wilson. But it's not looking good right now. Should I start Freeman or Michael Carter? Yeah, I'd go Michael Carter. Bateman or Gasicki? I don't like starting tight ends over receivers. I would go Bateman. Kamara for Zeke and Carson, or Kamara for Pat and Montgomery and Mike Williams. Assuming that's Patrick Mahomes or Patterson, Cordell Patterson. I like the first one, though. I'd take Zeke over Kamara. Like, I don't think that's that bold of a take. Hey, Sam the man, does Cam Newton affect CMC in any way? No, Carter. We've already seen CMC dominate with Cam. Like, if anything, it helps them because they already have a rapport together. Aaron Jones and Schultz for Chubb and Higgins. Yeah, if you need a receiver, I think that's a pretty fair trade. Honestly, Nick Chubb could be better than Aaron Jones the rest of the season, too. Start one, Rashad Bateman tonight versus Dolphins. Ayuka the Bazooka versus the Rams. Hunter Renfro versus the Chiefs. Kirk versus the Panthers. If Kyler plays and Hopkins is questionable, yeah, I think this one is Ayuk. I think this one's Ayuk. I would go Ayuk. Hey, Sam, Thielen, Judy, or Elijah Mitchell for PPR in the flex. Thank you. Sorry, I just tapped on the wrong question there. I think I'd probably go Thielen in a PPR league over all these guys. Should I trade Patterson, TJ, Hawk, and Woods for Cook and Lamb? Yeah, 100%. 100%. You're getting the two best players in the trade. The two best, like, this is not even close, Devin. You got to accept this instantly. Sam, trade Jalen Waddle for Tom Brady. I don't love trading for quarterbacks, but if you're never going to start Jalen Waddle and Tom Brady's an upgrade, then, like, yeah, sure. But otherwise, I don't love it. I got Fields and Tyrod Taylor in a 14-man league. I'm in one of my high-stakes leagues, a 14-man league, so I know the pain. Since Fields and Tyrod, but I feel like I can't complain now because I started a 32-person fantasy league where I'm the commissioner, so can't be complaining about 14-team leagues. Are both out. Should I gamble on if Newton will play or pick up Brissett and start him tonight? Cam Newton's not going to play tonight. I mean, this week. Cam Newton's not going to play this week. I think that's like already been stated. So yeah, start Brissett. I actually think Brissett's a sneaky play. We didn't talk really that much about the Dolphins offense in this live stream. Unfortunately, I feel like I was getting sidetracked by the comments a little bit, which is fine, but the Ravens have allowed the most passing yards per game this season. So yeah, I think Brissett's a sneaky play. Kamara for Cook, even though the off-field issues, yeah, it seems like Cook is going to play the rest of the season. That's what it feels like, based on everything I've read. So I would do that. Which three to start? A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, Deebo Samuel, and DeAndre Hopkins. Definitely the first two. It looks like Chris Godwin might not play. Antonio Brown's going to be out again, and Gronk is going to be out again. And they're playing Washington, who's been pretty bad in the secondary. They've improved of late, but pretty bad. So Mike Evans is a must start. A.J. Brown must start. Deebo Samuel also must start. He's also off the injury report. It's the first three guys. Ayuk, Bateman, or Mitchell, pick two. Yeah, I'd go the first two. Bateman or Agnew? Got to be Bateman, man. Got to be Bateman. Bateman's just in a way, way, way better situation. Godwin or Hollywood Brown for rest of season? Godwin is looking like he's going to be out this week, which I think impacts the question. Like, by the time Godwin's back, Antonio Brown might be back. I think this one's actually really close. I want to say Chris Godwin, but Hollywood Brown's been good, man. I think it's Hollywood Brown. I do not think OBJ is going to affect Cooper Kupp very much. Who should I trade McLaurin for? I don't think this is the best time to trade him, honestly. But I think a couple good buy low candidates for me And maybe Devonta Smith's not super buy low right now because he's coming off a good game. But Devonta Smith has a good playoff schedule. So if you're already in the fantasy playoffs, I'd like him. I also think going after David Montgomery, James Robinson is a pretty good idea. And I think Jacoby Myers is pretty much free right now to go get in fantasy. Would you trade Saquon for CEH for Swift? No, I don't think I'd do that. Like, I think Saquon and Swift are pretty comparable, Brian. Rest of season, once Saquon's back. I don't think it's like that crazy of a trade, but I don't think I'd do it. Bateman or Moss? I'd go Bateman over Moss. Moss has really been disappointing. Singletary played his season high snap since week 1. So it's really hard to trust Moss right now. Kamara for Cook. Yeah, I think we already talked about that one. Dynasty question. Let's go. Love the dynasty questions. Do you think Elijah Mitchell will be good rest of season, or should I trade high? This feels like a good time to trade Elijah Mitchell in the dynasty league. It does. I mean, Raheem Mostert's out. Yeah, I think this is a good time to trade Elijah Mitchell. Should I do J-Jets for DK Metcalf? I think that's pretty fair. Like, I don't get the 1-for-1 same position trades, like wide receiver for wide receiver. It doesn't make that much sense for me. I think I would prefer Justin Jefferson, though, to DK Metcalf. It's close, though. It really is close. Waddle receiving yards tonight. Yeah, I don't hate it. It's 62.5. Like, it's Walter has him projected for 65. So there's not like a ton of value there, but I don't hate it. Like, he's going to see targets. And again, I think the Ravens are going to destroy the Dolphins, so the Dolphins are going to have to throw a lot. And again, the Ravens defense has allowed the most passing yards per game in the NFL. Their secondary has actually been pretty bad. Waddle or DJ Moore? I'd go DJ Moore over Jalen Waddle. Corey Davis or Elijah Moore for my flex? I would lean towards Corey Davis over Elijah Moore, but I mean, you really flip a coin for that one. Waddle or DJ Moore? Yeah, again, DJ Moore. Guys, we're going rapid fire. I got 3 minutes left. I got to end a little bit early tonight. I started a little bit early for that reason. I got 3 minutes left. Ayuk, Beasley, Chris Carson. I would lean towards Ayuk. I don't know how you can trust Carson in his first game back. Hunt and Damian Harris for DK Metcalf. Yeah. Joe. Yeah. I mean, there's a clear upgrade for your wide receiver if your only good receiver is Devontae. And you probably don't need these two running backs. Like, if these two running backs aren't locked into your starting lineup every week, like, this is a must trade. If you have bench players you can trade for starters, it's like kind of a no-brainer. Bateman or Javonte? I want nothing to do with Javonte this week, Sam. I would go with Bateman. Waddle or DJ Moore? Again, DJ Moore. Pittman or Deontay Johnson rest of season? Yeah, it's Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson's been like crazy consistent this season, and now Chase Claypool's dealing with an injury. How will OBJ affect Cooper Kupp? Again, I don't think he's going to affect him. Beasley, Sutton, Landry, or Lockett. Pick 2 this week / long term. Got 2 questions in 1. I think I would go the last 2 for both, honestly. With Russell Wilson coming back and OBJ gone, I think Landry and Lockett are the answer here. Is Edmonds droppable? No. Carter, no. I mean, unless you're in the 10-person league probably, but 12-person, 14-person league, no, definitely not. Trade Woods for Devonta Smith. I don't hate that, Justin. And Devonta Smith has a really good playoff schedule, so I don't hate it at all. Keenan or Jefferson? Keenan Allen's been balling recently. I still think I'd go Justin Jefferson though. Pitts or Gasicki? Let's pull up the top 10 rankings again really quickly, because I think this will answer some of the questions. But it's got to be Pitts. Pitts doesn't even have a bad matchup this week. He had a bad matchup last week, not a bad matchup this week. Gasicki has a good matchup, but I think you got to go Pitts. Pitts is the number 1 receiver in his offense right now. The top 10 receivers, let's pull those up. Thoughts on Thielen and Lockett rest of season? I'm a lock for the playoffs. Gave a 5-star review. Yeah, thanks, man. I like both them rest of season. I think both are trending in a good direction right now, especially Lockett with Russell Wilson returning. Lockett can win you weeks. He can win you weeks. I'd go Bateman over Sutton 100% tonight. I'd go Bateman over Sutton. All right, guys. We're going to wrap up the stream with just a couple final thoughts. First of all, I think tonight's going to be proof Lamar Jackson needs to be in the MVP conversation. And, I mean, we already know, in my mind at least, he's the greatest rushing quarterback of all time. He's about to have 3 straight 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Just absolutely insane. We've never even seen back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons by a quarterback ever. Michael Vick never did that. He's about to go 3 straight. It's kind of an arbitrary threshold of 1,000 yards, and it means less now with the extra game. But Lamar Jackson's going to ball out tonight, and I think the Ravens are going to cover the 7.5, 8-point spread. I also like Myles Gaskin over 20.5 receiving yards tonight. And overall, the guys that I think you got to be starting, I think you have to obviously start Lamar. I think you've got to be starting Marquise Brown, Mark Andrews, Mike Gesicki, Jalen Waddle, Myles Gaskin. I think Rashad Bateman in a lot of spots too. Devonta Freeman, I think, is on the fringe. I also think Jacoby Brissett's kind of a sneaky play tonight too. He's going to have to pass a lot against a defense that's allowed the most passing yards. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. We'll be back live Sunday morning, the normal Sunday live. I'll be back live basically when I wake up to kick off. Have a good Thursday night, guys, and we will talk soon.